everyone? Okay. So first up, Nicole, can I ask you to turn your video on? Because I don't see you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So I am going to spotlight both of you, which I learned how to do during the pandemic. Add spotlight. Okay. So starting off, I would love to ask both of you, whoever wants to go first, please introduce yourselves, anything you want to share, what grade you're in for context, what kind of Jewish involvement you've had for context, and then to share what is your favorite thing about being Jewish.
I can go first. I'm Kelsey Cohen. I'm an incoming senior. I go to Solon High School. What was the question?
Favorite thing about being Jewish or something you
Okay. My favorite thing about being Jewish is it helps me connect with people in my community. So like a few years back, I went to the Maccabi Games, which is like, if you don't know, an Olympic style like event for Jewish teens where you compete in sports. And I played volleyball there. And I just think being Jewish really brings me close to other people that share the same religion.
So, thank you. Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
You're muted.
Sorry, I totally forgot. Hi guys, I'm Nicole. I'm an incoming junior at Solon High School. And I wrote it down. My favorite thing about being Jewish is like all the family traditions that I had passed down to me just through the generations of my family that are really important to my family now. I just think it's really sentimental.
Awesome. So I feel like we're seeing this sense of Jewish peoplehood, both from history, from family, but also from these shared experiences that you guys have had and have had the chance to be part of. So then the flip side of that, what is something that challenges you about being Jewish or about your Judaism?
Okay, so I can go. Sadly, anti-Semitism is still like a really harsh reality. And especially like we're living in a day and age where everything's posted on social media now. And there's a lot of times where people come across as anti-Semitic when they don't even try to be. Like we talked about it in the last class. Like for example, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a great example because I've seen so many people post countless things on platforms like Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, like etc. that have come off as really anti-Semitic. And it's hard because like as a Jewish woman, I see this happening around me. And I just think it's because people don't really educate themselves on these topics. And it's really important to me that people do.
Thank you. Nicole, same question.
I actually had like pretty much the same thing written down. I was just gonna say about what challenges me the most is how much anti-Semitism there is even like around me where I live. In Solon, like so many people I've seen in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict during that, they would post so many I don't think they tried to be anti-Semitic, but what they were posting came off as anti-Semitic. And I just wish that people were educated enough so they didn't post that kind of stuff, so they knew like, oh, this infographic maybe is a little biased, like you shouldn't post this. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of anti-Semitism around me and it challenges me.
I think this is so interesting, and I'm gonna say that I hope for the grad students like that we're all internalizing this, because I feel like so much of the time in the space of Jewish education, we're thinking about the internal pieces of, does Judaism accept my gender identity? Does Judaism provide a space for me in all these, any different way, politically, emotionally, spiritually? What are my God questions? And then, at least with this snapshot of the two of you, what we're hearing is the challenge that's being posed is actually an external one, particularly when it comes to this uptick in anti-Semitism and what you're seeing from your peers. So just naming and noting that as something that I think is interesting. All right, what for both of you has your most meaningful Jewish experience been so far?
Okay, so for me, I like Jewish holidays because I don't know, I think it allows me to spend like quality time with my family. Like for example, Hanukkah, I have so many traditions with my family, and that's always time for us to pray together, which really brings us close together. And I just think it's an experience like no other because I can confidently practice my Judaism like in the safety of my own home with people that I'm closest with. And I think family is extremely important in being able to cherish special moments with them, make memories that are unforgettable. So definitely the Jewish holidays.
I love that.
I think the most meaningful thing about my Jewish identity is my bat mitzvah, because my family, I have like a big family and everyone celebrates their like Judaism in a different temple. But for my bat mitzvah, we all came to the temple my family goes to. And it was just nice to see like in my entire family like practicing a Jewish tradition all together, because it doesn't happen often. And I think that was a very like monumental part in my life that left like a big imprint, and it was a big memory.
That's beautiful. Thank you both for that one. So as you guys right now, we have high school junior, high school senior. I know from having spoken to both of you, like college is definitely on your radar and something that we're constantly thinking about. So either looking forward towards college years or beyond into just your overall future, what is your sense, or do you have a sense of what you want your Jewish future in particular to look like, or what you envision it being?
Well, first of all, I actually wanted to apply to University of Michigan, but I heard they're really anti-Semitic. So I don't know anymore. But I think like when I think into the future, I think about having a family, and I think it's really important that I want to raise my children in a Jewish household. I also plan to attend like their bar and bat mitzvahs, take them to Sunday school, and I think being Jewish is really important for my kids' future because I want them to be proud of where they came from, and I want them to be confident in themselves and their religion. And I also plan to visit Israel with my 20-year-old brother sometime next year, I think, for our birthright, because I kind of want to take a dive and like explore my Jewish identity and just be exposed to Israeli culture since it's a part of who I am. And I think it's something that I should be proud of.
I love that.
Something I would like to continue when I'm older is definitely a lot of family traditions that like I've seen growing up in my family, like such as the food we would cook on Hanukkah and all the holidays we'd celebrate, like going to temple on Yom Kippur and bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs I've attended in my family. I think I want my kids to carry on those traditions, and I definitely want to teach them those traditions. I think it's very important to carry on legacies in your family so they don't die.
I love that. And I think it's interesting also just like thinking about how the Jewish questions factor into your college search as a whole and the choices that you're going to be making in those regards. So especially Kelsey, thank you for naming that, not just beyond, but you have an immediate Jewish future question also. So the two of you, I'm not entirely sure that I gave you the full context as to what you're stepping into, but all of these people who you're speaking to are Jewish educators and community professionals from across the country who either work directly with teens or who some part of their portfolio focuses on youth engagement, Gen Z, you and your peers. And so I'm wondering what you wish Jewish educators who are trying to connect with you, with your peers, either knew or did differently or did in a way that would help you and your connections with them and with the Jewish community as a whole.
I was gonna say I had an idea for this one. Talk about like historic Jewish events like the Holocaust, because when I took like world history freshman year, we talked about it, but we didn't really go like in depth. And I wanted to know about statistics and I wanted to know about all of these other things, but like we never talked about it. And the Holocaust was such a big part of like just the Jewish culture. I just think it's really, really important to see like how we evolved from that.
Awesome.
I personally think that when I was growing up, I wish I had known more about anti-Semitism in general because I wasn't exposed to it a lot growing up. I really was recently exposed to it when, like, in the past few years, a lot of anti-Semitic attacks were going on. But growing up, I really wasn't like educated enough about to know. Like, I wish I had known because it was kind of a shock to me, like, wow, this is still going on. Like, why? I don't know. It's just, I wish I had knew about it when I was younger.
Awesome. All right, so those are my prepared questions, and now I want to take a few minutes and turn it over to Gratz students. If there are questions that you have, we spent the last several weeks talking about Jewish teens, and you had the opportunity to speak to Jewish teens in your own communities. But as we have done more focusing on Gen Z, on the adolescent experience in general, if there are questions that y'all want to pose to Kelsey, Nicole, both, this is your chance. Please just unmute, and Rebecca.
Hi, Kelsey and Nicole. It's nice to see you. Thanks for answering all of our questions. You've given some really valuable insight. And I wanted to ask, in your experience, when you were younger and you had friends, were there friends that decided after their B'nai Mitzvot that they did not want to continue on with Jewish education? And if so, why do you think that was?
Yes. I've had a lot of friends that are just like, I don't know, they're like, like being Jewish doesn't really matter that much. And like after they had their bar bat mitzvah, they just kind of stopped practicing it. I think it's just because like they weren't required, I guess, to go to like Sunday school and like learn about it anymore. But also just a lot of peer pressure, I feel, because like everyone's like, I don't know, most people are Christian now, and it's not really popular. Like, I mean, besides Solon, everyone's Jewish, but it's not really popular, like, for most people to be Jewish. And like, they kind of just want to fit in with the societal norm and not stand out.
Okay. All right. And Nicole?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Kelsey, but also to add on, adding on to how she said that after people's bar and bat mitzvahs, they kind of just let go and they're like laid back and they don't really care about being religious anymore. But I think that it's really important to do that, or to not do that and be religious, because your morals come from religion. I think like believing in God and believing in religion gives you like a very straight path to like good morals and
Yeah,
good.
it gives you like hope when you're like
Yeah.
sad.
Do you think that there's anything that an educator could have done to help encourage any of these kids to keep going with it? Or do you think it was okay?
School, like if we had learned about religion, I've not had one single class where we learned about how important religion is. I mean, maybe it's because I go to a public school, but we don't.
They're not allowed to. It's like in the Bill of Rights, you can't like
we don't
make
learn
school
about
parents.
anything Jewish related. So
I think maybe like as a Jewish educator, presenting Judaism like in a fun way. I don't know, like making it seem like not like some boring religion you have to study and you have to go out of your way to like go to temple. But I don't know how you would do that, but make it like fun.
right.
Great, thank you. I have another question, but I'll let other people ask first. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Caitlin, I'm seeing you.